In the vast expanses of rolling hills and golden meadows, there lived a wild filly named Star. Her coat gleamed like freshly fallen snow, with patches of rich chestnut that glimmered in the sunlight. Star's mane flowed like a silken waterfall, catching the wind and dancing gracefully as she galloped through the fields. Her large, expressive eyes sparkled with life and curiosity, showing a spirit that was untamed and fiercely independent. Star roamed freely among the tall grasses and wildflowers, her hooves barely making a sound on the soft earth below. She was not just any horse. She was a symbol of freedom, embodying the wildness that many sought but few could truly understand. Every morning, as the sun began to rise and paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Star would find herself atop a hill overlooking her domain. From this vantage point, she surveyed her land, taking in the beauty of nature that surrounded her. The air was fresh and crisp, filled with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the sweet aroma of grass. Star loved this feeling. It was a reminder that she belonged to no one but herself. In those moments, she would throw back her head and let out a joyous whinny, echoing across the landscape like music. But life as a wild filly didn't come without dangers. There were encroaching ranchers who saw in Star not just a creature of beauty, but an opportunity to tame her spirit. Time after time, they tried to lure her in with food or chase her down with ropes and pens. But Star remained elusive. She was clever and quick, often leading them on merry chases through thickets and around trees, always just out of their reach. With each encounter, Star learned to trust her instincts even more. Humans might have their plans, but she had the heart of a wanderer, unable to be caught or contained. She would often watch from a distance as ranchers set traps or whisper among themselves about how they would one day succeed in taming her. But as they talked, they didn't know that every attempt brought her nearer to understanding their ways while she remained beautifully free. Star also had friends in the wild, a small group of rabbits that played near the streams and a wise old hawk that flew high above, keeping an eye on everything below. The rabbits would sometimes frolic alongside her, showing their own playful spirits, while the hawk would soar gracefully in circles above, as if keeping watch over his young friend. One hot afternoon, as Star wandered further than usual in search of new flowers to nibble on, she stumbled upon a serene meadow tucked away behind a grove of trees. The grass here was lush and green. It felt softer beneath her hooves than any other place she had been before. In the center stood an ancient oak tree with an enormous trunk and branches that spread wide like protective arms. Feeling adventurous, Star approached the tree and rubbed her nose against its rough bark. Perhaps it too had stories to tell. In this peaceful spot under the shade of the oak, she closed her eyes and listened to the gentle rustle of leaves overhead and the playful buzz of insects flitting around. Days passed like this for Star, roaming free under wide open skies without worry or restraint. Her days were filled with joy and delight as she explored every inch of her land. Each sunrise brought new adventures, from galloping through streams to jumping over logs, heart racing with excitement. Yet deep inside her wild heart, there lay a hint of loneliness too. While she adored her freedom, sometimes she wished for companionship beyond her wild friends, a creature with whom she could share her adventures or show off her finest leaps into the air. As spring turned into summer, everything around Star seemed vibrant and alive. However, little did she know, soon something unexpected would change everything in ways she could never imagine yet desperately needed deep down. A familiar song on the wind would soon reach her ears. In the nearby town, whispers of the wild filly named Star had traveled fast. Ranchers spoke of her in awe. They described her striking beauty and untamed spirit. Many dreams of taming the wild creature filled their conversations, believing that with the right approach, she could be captured and transformed into a loyal companion. One such rancher, a stocky man named Hank, was determined to be the one who caught Star. He had heard tales of her defiance and grace and felt that with a little bit of effort, he could win her over. Armed with hay and buckets of water, he watched her from a distance. Every day at dawn, he would trek up to the hill where Star often stood, quietly waiting for the right moment to extend his invitation for friendship. Hank set up a trap near the tree where Star liked to play. He hoped she would wander into it, drawn by the tempting smell of fresh hay. However, Star was far too clever. Often she would peek at the trap but quickly decide it wasn't worth her time. She danced gracefully around it, as if teasing Hank just a little before galloping away into the meadows. Each time she escaped, Hank could only shake his head in disbelief, scratching his beard while swearing softly under his breath. Further down the road, another rancher named Clara listened intently to Hank's ideas and wanted in on the challenge. Ever since she had seen Star galloping through fields, Clara had envisioned how magnificent the filly would look in her stables. She planned her own attempts with great precision. Unlike Hank, Clara was known for being patient and observant. Clara decided to take a gentler approach. Instead of attempting to trap Star outright, she began leaving small offerings of carrots and apples in places she thought the wild filly might find them. Day after day, she returned faithfully to check if any food had been taken, hopeful that the filly might come closer when not threatened by humans. But Star remained cautious and clever as ever. She studied Clara's routine from a distance, but never approached too close, preferring instead to nibble on grass or watch for any signs of danger around her before moving closer to investigate these strange gifts. Determined not to be outdone by Hank or Clara, a young ranch hand named Eli stepped into the mix. Eli was known for his quick feet and love for horses, but had little experience compared to the two seasoned ranchers. After watching them fail time and again, he decided to try something completely different. Eli believed that music could melt even the coldest heart, even that of a wild filly. He began bringing his guitar on long walks through the open fields near where Star was often seen. Strumming gentle melodies while keeping an eye out for her became a new daily routine for Eli. At first, all Eli noted was that Star would perk up her ears whenever she heard him play. Although still at a distance, she seemed intrigued by those soft notes that floated through the air like whispers carried by the wind. Yet whenever he attempted to move closer for a better glimpse or play with more passion, Star would dash away, as if she had wings on her hooves. Each rancher's effort brought more stories about Star to town. They grew in size and excitement every time they were shared. Folks would gather around campfires at night, swapping tales of daring chases through meadows and valleys, while trying to catch this elusive filly who never showed any sign of giving in. As these endeavors continued with no sign of success, distinctions among them started to rise too. While some viewed Star as merely an untamable creature meant to serve human desires, others began pondering what it truly meant to understand freedom rather than possess it. Days turned into weeks without any rancher succeeding in their plans. Each failed attempt seemed only to strengthen Star's wild spirit further. As summer rolled on with skies bright above and flowers blooming below, everyone soon discovered just how difficult it really would be to tame such an extraordinary soul who preferred vast landscapes over closed spaces. Little did they know that soon enough their efforts would lead towards an unexpected turning point, one triggered not by traps or offers of food, but perhaps something completely outside their understanding. The sweet sounds of familiarity carried on the wind would arrive shortly thereafter, and forever change everything they thought they knew about capturing freedom. As the summer sun cast its warm glow over the rolling hills, a new figure appeared on the outskirts of the town. Her name was Lila, a gentle stranger with long, flowing hair that danced like waves in the breeze. She traveled from far away, drawn to the beauty of the landscape and stories of the wild filly named Star. With her guitar slung across her back, Lila carried a spirit of kindness and curiosity that seemed to light up the air around her. Lila had always felt a deep connection to nature and music. For her, melodies were not just sounds, but a way to communicate with the world around her. As she entered the area, she noticed how quiet everything seemed, save for the rustling of leaves and distant calls of birds. But there was one sound that caught her attention, a soft whinny that echoed through the meadow, stirring something inside her heart. Following this enchanting sound, Lila wandered over hills and through fields until she reached a spot overlooking an expansive valley. There, grazing gracefully under an ancient oak tree, was Star. The filly's coat shone in the sunlight as she nibbled on sweet grass, completely unaware of Lila's presence. The sight took Lila's breath away. She was captivated by Star's beauty and wild gracefulness. Lila sat quietly on a nearby rock, observing from afar. She could tell that Star was spirited and free, a creature untouched by human hands. The ranchers' attempts to tame her flashed through Lila's mind. Their traps and offerings seemed clumsy compared to what this magnificent creature truly needed: understanding and respect for her independence. As days passed, Lila returned daily to watch Star. She discovered that if she stayed silent and still, Star would eventually wander closer to where she sat. Each time their eyes met from a distance, Lila felt an unspoken connection growing between them. The wild filly's curious gaze seemed to say, "I see you." It filled Lila with excitement. Perhaps there was a way to reach Star's heart without chasing or trapping her. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of lavender and gold, Lila decided it was time to share her music with Star. She gently pulled out her guitar and began strumming soft melodies that floated through the air like whispers carried by the wind. The notes danced alongside crickets' chirps and rustling leaves, as if nature itself joined in harmony. At first, Star lifted her head curiously at the sound. She pricked up her ears and took cautious steps forward, drawn toward the soothing tune emanating from this mysterious stranger. Lila played songs that spoke of freedom, tunes filled with adventure and joy, hoping they would resonate with what Star cherished most. Underneath an open sky dotted with stars, Lila played night after night while keeping an eye on her wild friend. Each time she returned with music flowing from her fingertips, Star ventured closer until one magical evening, she stepped boldly into view behind a cluster of wildflowers. Lila's heart raced with happiness. This moment felt like destiny unfolding right before her eyes. Encouraged by Star's approach, she continued playing softer melodies filled with warmth and friendship instead of trying to entice or capture Star physically. There was no need for fences or ropes. All it took was gentle music offered in its most pure form. The other ranchers noticed something strange happening in those fields. They observed how this young woman's presence seemed to calm Star rather than frighten her away like before. Whispers spread among them about this mysterious stranger who sang sweet songs while sitting peacefully at sunset. As days turned into weeks filled with music, filled evenings under twinkling stars, Lila never grew tired of sharing soft tunes with Star, who now lingered close by during each session. They formed their own beautiful bond rooted in trust, one built on shared moments rather than forceful desires. Even though some ranchers remained frustrated by their failed attempts at capturing Star's spirit through more traditional means, others began viewing things differently as they watched from a distance. Perhaps true connections could be forged through understanding rather than control alone. In time, Lila would come to understand there was something uniquely special about having faith in another being's freedom, while leaving room for companionship at its own pace without boundaries set too rigidly in place. Little did anyone know, as these melodies floated softly across meadows where hoofprints once danced alone in circles, that both wild filly and gentle stranger were on a path towards something beautiful, yet untold. A friendship destined to blossom once more, when familiar notes echoed through valleys yet unseen. As Lila sat beneath the old oak tree, the evening sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the meadow. She placed her fingers gently on the strings of her guitar and let out a sigh of contentment. It was time to play. Strumming softly at first, she let the music flow from her heart. The notes filled the air like sweet perfume, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Lila thought back to a familiar tune taught to her long ago by someone she loved, a melody that spoke of home, adventure, and freedom. This very song had often reminded her of open fields and wild horses galloping under the sun. It was this tune that she hoped would speak to Star, allowing their worlds to connect in a way that words could not express. As she began playing the lively chords, an enchanting sound filled the meadow. The brilliant notes danced across fields of wildflowers and swayed among leaves overhead. Each strum seemed to echo in time with Star's own heartbeat, as if the universe conspired to bring them together through this one song. Star, who had been grazing quietly in the distance, lifted her head sharply at the sound drifting on the breeze. The familiar melody rang in her ears, stirring something deep within her spirit. A forgotten memory, or perhaps an instinctive recognition of joy and freedom intertwined in those gentle notes. Drawn by the music's magic, Star took a tentative step closer, ears flicking in rhythm with Lila's playing. Each sweet note reached out to her soul as if inviting her into a world where she felt understood, safe, and free to explore. She moved closer again, suddenly enchanted by this strange human creating beautiful sounds beneath the oak tree. With each chord that flowed from Lila's guitar, Star felt an irresistible urge compelling her forward. Memories danced like shadows in her mind. Images of running wild across open plains and feeling the wind whip through her mane, all ignited by this simple yet powerful song. For the first time since she could remember, she felt that perhaps this moment could anchor her restless spirit. Lila noticed Star inching toward her, excitement flooding through her chest as they connected without words. Today felt different. There was something special about how Star reacted to this particular tune. Lila poured every ounce of emotion into each note played, the joy of freedom and the warmth of friendship, as if they formed a bridge between their two worlds. As she sang softly along with the melody, Lila watched Star's graceful movements and felt a burst of hope filling her heart. There was magic in sharing music with another being, a language beyond spoken words that transcended barriers built by fear or uncertainty. The filly now stood just beyond arm's reach, eyes wide with curiosity as she listened intently to Lila's soothing voice and gentle strumming. With every passing moment under that enchanting sunset sky, painted with shades of orange and purple, they were becoming more connected in spirit than Lila had ever imagined possible. The music floated effortlessly through the evening air for what felt like hours, until Lila finally paused for breath. Even then, Star stood still as if mesmerized by what had transpired between them. The last chord lingered in stillness around them, two souls appreciating this newfound bond built upon trust rather than anything else. Feeling bold but calm in response to such soft energy radiating from Star's presence, Lila gently set down her guitar. "You are so beautiful," she whispered aloud into the quiet meadow while gazing deeply into those large, expressive eyes belonging to this extraordinary creature before her. For a moment they shared silence, both lost in thoughts, connecting past memories with present moments as twilight transitioned into nightfall around them. And even though Lila knew there were many uncertainties ahead about taming or forming deeper bonds, to have found common ground through song filled each crevice of hope within her heart. Somewhere amidst whispering winds, brushing against grass blades and crickets, beginning their night symphony, echoed thoughts anew. Could it be possible for music alone to kindle a friendship blossoming beneath starlit skies? As they stood united under constellations shimmering above, tended by time itself, the answer remained unspoken, yet ever present between them. As the last notes from Lila's guitar lingered in the twilight air, Star stood frozen just a few paces away. The wild filly gazed intently at the gentle stranger with her large, soulful eyes, still catching her breath from the enchanting experience that had just unfolded. This moment felt almost magical. It was as if time itself had paused to allow them both to savor the connection growing between them. Star had heard many sounds in her life, from rustling leaves to distant thunder, but nothing resonated with her quite like this melody. It was a song that spoke not with words, but with feelings. Feelings she had long buried beneath layers of independence and freedom. Her heart raced as she took another tentative step forward, drawn closer by a force she couldn't quite understand. The notes had stirred something deep within her, awakening memories of wide-open fields and sunlit days spent galloping untamed across the landscape. They whispered promises of companionship and comfort that tugged at her heartstrings. Star found herself longing for the warmth of connection that she had often pushed aside while running wild. With each gentle strum that echoed in the meadow, Star felt a shift in her demeanor. She shifted her weight from hoof to hoof, curiosity overriding her usual cautious instincts. Was it safe to draw closer? Would this human bring the kind of companionship she secretly desired? Memories danced through her mind, days spent alone watching others twirl together, horses grazing peacefully in company while she remained on the outskirts, uninvited and uncertain. The familiarity of Lila's song stirred curiosity within Star's spirit. It was as if this melody unlocked hidden doors within her soul, allowing emotions she hardly knew existed to flood forth. Happiness, hope, and a yearning for connection that she could no longer ignore. Taking a slight breath, Star lowered her head slightly and stepped forward again. Now standing even closer to Lila, Star scanned the lovely stranger's face for signs of danger, but found only kindness reflected back at her. In her heart of hearts, she sensed that this was someone who understood what it meant to be free, yet also shared an appreciation for friendship. Lila's warm smile radiated soft encouragement as they exchanged glances full of wonderment. Lila noticed how Star's ears moved back and forth while listening intently to every note produced by the guitar strings. Intuition seemed to guide Star closer with each passing second. The movement brought joy into Lila's heart, awareness bubbling within her that they were no longer strangers drifting apart on separate paths, but two souls beginning to thread together like old friends. The way Star swayed gently mimicked the rhythm of the music flowing around them, creating a serene ambiance filled with understanding rather than hesitation. Lila remained perfectly still, hoping not to frighten this majestic creature, but allow space for them both as trust began weaving its delicate web between their hearts. Soon enough, boldness blossomed within Star as she took another courageous step closer until finally resting just outside arm's reach beside Lila. There was serenity surrounding them under the twinkling stars. Above, nature's very own audience witnessing this beautiful union unfolding before their eyes. With the evening breeze brushing through the wildflowers around them, each petal revealing soft luminance in hues of white and lavender. The magic enveloped them both like invisible threads binding one another's lives together. Together atop shared memories, intertwined with fresh beginnings, painted underneath a sky splattered with hope. Words felt unnecessary. Instead, they remained transfixed by each other's presence, while understanding swept through their hearts in volumes greater than speech ever could convey. With every beat of their hearts synchronized to an unheard tune, pulsing love built on dreams anew. Lila's fingers danced delicately among guitar strings once again. She played softly yet passionately, as southern winds carried songs mingled with whispers of solitude, turning swiftly toward kinship. Profound harmony bridging division between innocence held dearly close, while navigating vast uncertainties ahead. Star listened closely now, feeling fully present within this moment's sacred beauty. Discovered potential for growth blossoming amidst laughter-filled nights ahead, scattered with stars illuminating uncharted territory. A spark ignited between them. Perhaps music would be more than mere sound. It could spell out an everlasting bond fashioned through trust instead of dominance, fostering deeper connections woven firmly yet tenderly between horse and stranger under open skies bathed in moonlight. Lila continued to strum her guitar, the soft notes filling the air with warmth and a sense of calm. Star stood just outside arm's reach, her body tense at first, but slowly relaxing, as curiosity overpowered her instincts. Something about Lila's music felt right, as if the melody whispered promises of comfort and understanding to her wild heart. With a hesitant leap of faith, Star took a careful step forward, her hooves barely making a sound against the lush grass. She paused, ears flicking, tuned into every note that flowed effortlessly from the guitar. Each chord seemed to call out to her inner spirit, inviting her into a world where she could embrace companionship without fear. Just as Lila had noticed earlier, there was an undeniable connection forming between them. It pulsed through the air like an unspoken language only they could understand. As Star closed the gap between them, she felt an exhilarating mix of apprehension and excitement swirling within. This was new territory, a moment filled with possibilities that shifted beneath her feet like the wind in the trees. Star scanned Lila's face for any hint of danger, but found only kindness reflected in those soulful eyes. There was something about this gentle stranger, an aura of patience that wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Reassured by Lila's calming presence, Star dared to inch forward another step, now standing merely a few feet away. As the sunlight dipped lower on the horizon, casting golden rays across their meeting place, Star felt freer than ever before. The music continued to swirl around them like magic dust. Every note resonated deeply within her being and stirred memories long forgotten of days spent galloping through wide-open spaces. In this enchanted moment filled with unspoken words, Lila laid down her guitar gently and extended a hand toward Star, her fingers outstretched in hope that this wild beauty would understand that she meant no harm. "You're so beautiful," Lila softly spoke, allowing each word to blend into the evening breeze like sweet incense carried forth through the meadow. Star didn't hesitate this time. Something powerful drove her onward as she lowered her head cautiously toward Lila's waiting hand. She brushed against it lightly with her nose, a tentative yet intimate gesture rooted in trust. Their eyes locked, both feeling an electric spark dance between them. In that instant, everything changed. No longer was Star just a wild filly wandering alone. Now she began to recognize she could find safety in companionship. The connection blossomed beautifully into what they both needed. Someone who understood freedom yet embraced friendship wholeheartedly. It felt right to be here at this moment, under an expansive sky set ablaze with vivid oranges and purples as day transitioned into night. Stars began one by one appearing overhead. Nature's very own celebrations of their pulse-quickening bond. Lila brought her hand back and picked up the guitar once more, while watching Star respond pleasantly to every strum resonating through nature around them. She started playing another gentle tune woven together with feelings of care. The soothing melody danced among blades of grass until everything transformed into one harmonious flow. Star listened intently now, eyes brightened with wonderment toward this newfound friend, whose intentions seemed to promise so much more than freedom alone. For the first time in a long while, she felt genuinely accepted for who she was. Wild yet open to experiences lying ahead as paths converged gracefully under starlit skies glowing above. With every rising note from Lila's guitar strings, carrying ancient echoes hidden deep within both their souls, they began creating memories together amidst shared laughter, illuminating uncertainty ahead, while stars twinkled brightly like dreams come true, lingering off in distant horizons, yet explored. In those precious moments that night, held sacredly close, it became clear that time had no bearing on these two unlikely friends whose story was intricately written beneath heaven's vast overhead. Dots shimmering brightly, waiting eagerly for narratives soon unveiled, connecting filly and stranger alike, intertwined, forever changing everything as melodies traversed far beyond earthly bounds, with each delicate chord played for anyone willing enough to listen closely. In the days that followed their initial connection, Lila returned to the meadow every evening, her guitar in hand, and a heart filled with anticipation. Each sunset painted the sky in vibrant hues, while Star awaited her presence with eager curiosity, gradually feeling more at ease with the gentle stranger who had brought music back into her life. Every note strummed, and each soft melody floated through the air, building an invisible thread of trust that wove itself between them. At first, Star maintained a respectful distance, still cautious of this new bond she was forging. She would graze on sweet grass or wander nearby, but always kept an eye on Lila, observing the way she played with such passion and love. Sometimes she even joined the wildflowers that danced upon the breeze while Lila played, her spirit alive with excitement, but still measured and careful. Lila noticed these shifts in Star's behavior. Each evening, as she played her guitar beneath their favorite oak tree, Star would inch closer, now moving freely into the space just 30 feet away, drawn irresistibly by the music that seemed to embrace her without any judgment or restraint. This steady progress invigorated Lila's heart. Witnessing Star respond to her song further fueled her desire to nurture this extraordinary friendship. One balmy evening, as a warm golden light cast long shadows across the meadow, Lila decided to change things up a bit. She chose a playful song, one filled with cheerfulness and adventure, painting images of galloping through open fields, something Star could relate to. The lively rhythm danced along with laughter from unseen children in dreams lost under summer skies. With each lively chord that bubbled forth from her fingertips, Lila caught sight of Star, pricking up her ears in pure delight. The filly began to trot forward with a bounce in her step that spoke volumes. The music's magic had ignited something joyful within her wild heart. That night, she crossed the threshold between caution and companionship, closing the distance from 30 feet to only 20. Seeing this boldness from Star filled Lila with encouragement. "You're doing so well," she called out lovingly after catching sight of the excited filly. Just as the sound danced through the air around them, Star's heart swelled at hearing those gentle words spoken, an assurance that invited her trust even further. Lila's warmth warmed the evening breeze, while also tugging at Star's desire for connection. For days on end, this rhythmic dance of curiosity continued. Each evening brought more strides forward as Star began moving closer each time Lila played. Soon enough, the gap narrowed to only 10 feet. Lila could see more clearly how bright Star's eyes lit up in response to familiar melodies, radiating love and affection into their blossoming bond. Star felt stronger now in her resolve. The initial hesitations faded slowly into the background like remnant shadows as she sensed safety enveloping her heart. The trust began blooming like wildflowers after a gentle rain, each strum bringing forth emotions previously tucked away, well beneath layers of independence. One fateful twilight marked a significant moment for their friendship. Star stepped forward until she stood directly before Lila, daring to close that last distance entirely while allowing herself to breathe in Lila's calming scent mixed among nature's offerings. In that single heartbeat where they locked eyes once again, trust solidified like an ever-strengthening root entwining deeper into fertile ground. With wonder reflecting from both perspectives merged together harmoniously within that magical park-like setting, Lila decided now was the time to take another small leap forward toward meeting them halfway. This time, instead of laying down her guitar as before, she carefully knelt low, her warmth inviting and patience extended like open arms, ready for embrace. "Come here, beautiful girl," she whispered softly, while extending both hands forward toward Star's curious face, resting just beyond reaching distance. The filly hesitated briefly, but then took one step closer before leaning down slightly to allow those gentle human fingers come to rest against warm skin. Palpable compassion linking spirit that pulsated together anew underneath radiant stars twinkling above their heads, like dreams waiting patiently for exploration. And under this night, sky-bathed beautifully by moonlight, each shared heartbeat echoed deeply within them both. This song continuing on forever, through melodies reaching far beyond sounds produced by instruments touched lightly, binding two souls responding tenderly as they surrendered willingly toward tomorrow. Joined hands in friendship along trails winding towards uncharted territories ahead, rich with laughter amongst sing-along magic, discovered only through trusted hearts longing to be free. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Lila and Star grew stronger with each shared moment beneath the open sky. The meadow became their special sanctuary, a place where music and gentle gestures served as their primary forms of communication. Lila noticed how Star seemed to not only listen to the melodies, but also absorb them. Every tune felt like an invitation to embrace the beauty of friendship without words. One evening, as the sun began its descent behind the rolling hills, Lila arrived at their meeting spot with her guitar, ready to immerse them both in the magic of music. Today she chose a soothing melody that flowed like a gentle stream, carrying with it feelings of peace and happiness. As she began to play, she observed Star standing nearby, her ears flicking back and forth as if dancing along to the rhythm. In that quiet moment, something remarkable happened. Star took a few tentative steps closer than before. This small act felt monumental, In her heart, Lila knew it was a sign of trust, building steadily between them. With every note, Lila watched Star's expression transform from cautious curiosity to pure joy. The wild filly's bright eyes sparkled with excitement as she drew nearer still until they were practically side by side. Lila's heart swelled at this display of courage from Star. With every note strummed from her guitar came familiarity that connected them in ways more profound than mere words ever could convey. Each song carried reminders of journeys taken together through both laughter and silence. A harmony created by two souls navigating life's unpredictable paths side by side. The evenings they spent together weren't always filled with music. Sometimes they exchanged gentle gestures too. Lila would sit cross-legged on the soft grass while Star nibbled on wildflowers nearby or tossed her mane playfully in response to soft breezes blowing through the meadow. Lila would reach out slowly to stroke Star's velvety nose or offer treats of sweet apples she had brought along. All simple actions, establishing reciprocity in their budding friendship. Star began to recognize these gestures as signs of affection and safety, whereas previous encounters with humans filled her with uncertainty and fear. Now she allowed herself revel in this newfound companionship, the kind that blossomed organically like flowers blooming under warm sunlight after a nourishing rain. On particularly magical nights, when fireflies danced around them like twinkling stars and silhouettes smudged against moonlit backgrounds, Lila played songs meant solely for Star. Each one composed from emotion, fueled by genuine kindness, shared openly between friends, discovering what true connection felt like. There was something undeniably special about these exchanges. They were not merely sounds, but conspired echoes reverberating deep within both their hearts. As time went on, whenever Lila strummed a familiar tune filled with warmth and love, a melody that had become almost sacred between them, Star would trot toward her eagerly. It was as if each note became an invisible thread, weaving deeper layers into their bond that neither wanted nor dared let fray apart again. One starry night marked another milestone for their relationship. Lila decided they should take their trust further by introducing new elements into their interaction. Playful games designed around exploration rather than restraint or domination. After ensuring she had captured Star's attention fully through soft songs welcoming discovery ahead, Lila leapt up excitedly while clapping her hands gently. "Let's have some fun!" She cheered enthusiastically before running off towards a nearby grove of trees beckoning adventure beyond familiar meadows, the thrill evident in every bounce upon her feet. Star seemed hesitant initially, but then bolted after her. Her laughter echoed throughout wilderness, tinged with wild energy as they began weaving among trails sprinkled lightly across paths less traveled and unmarked. Adventures waiting ahead where laughter mingled harmoniously alongside chiming melodies echoing forth behind them, left like breadcrumbs leading back home again. Both grateful for moments shared alone underneath bright twilight skies, reflecting joy, unlike anything experienced previously ever before. Through all this exploration, shortly thereafter, came an understanding birthed only through time spent together, while feeding off curiosity mixed together beautifully. Bonding friendship, rooted firmly towards growth. Nurtured easily through connection, built upon tender moments, shared amidst unspoken rhythms, connecting wild spirits forever. Curious about finding joy, along trails winding endlessly across sunlit dreams, filled brimful emanated pure love, reflected brightly, illuminating new horizons, discovered hand-in-hoof stitching memories, swiftly creating forever-lasting ties, binding two lovely souls, devotedly exploring life together, intertwined, illuminated brightly throughout infinite night skies. One bright evening, the air was imbued with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers, and the sky transitioned to twilight. Lila sat cross-legged on the soft grass beneath their favorite oak tree, her guitar resting on her lap as she watched Star frolic nearby. The rhythmic sound of the filly's hooves against the earth filled the air with a sense of playfulness. But tonight felt different. An air of anticipation wrapped around them like a gentle breeze. Lila had been waiting for this moment, one that would symbolize everything they had built together, a leap of faith that would bridge the gap between wildness and friendship. She felt an overwhelming sense of love for Star, the beautiful creature who had once roamed freely but had begun to find solace in their companionship. It was time to show Star just how much she cared and how profound their bond had become. As Star paused to nibble on a patch of sweet clover, Lila set her guitar aside and took a deep breath, allowing the serenity of the moment to wash over her. "Star," she whispered softly, her voice barely more than a breath against the evening air. The wild filly's ears perked up at the sound, and she turned to face Lila, those bright eyes sparkling with curiosity. Feeling emboldened by their shared experiences, Lila slowly began to extend her hand toward Star. She let it hover just above the ground, palm open and fingers relaxed, an invitation filled with warmth and gentleness. "Come here, beautiful girl," she murmured again, hoping that her tone conveyed every ounce of love and trust she felt. At first, Star hesitated, shifting her weight from hoof to hoof, as if debating whether or not to accept this offering. Memories of past encounters with humans flickered through her mind like shadows. Moments filled with fear and uncertainty weighed heavily on her heart. Yet in this moment, she sensed something different emanating from Lila, an energy that invited safety rather than danger. The air thickened with anticipation as Lila remained still, allowing her heartbeat to synchronize with Star's own rhythm. Each second felt like an eternity, but Lila held her breath, trusting that their bond had grown strong enough for this pivotal moment. Slowly but surely, Star began to take tentative steps forward, drawn closer by both curiosity and an emerging trust in this gentle stranger. With each step forward came a surge of confidence within Lila. She could feel their connection pulsing between them like an electric current charged with possibility. Finally, Star reached a point where the distance evaporated entirely. She lowered her head toward Lila's outstretched hand and brushed against it lightly. The contact was electric. Warmth surged through both their bodies as if they had finally bridged worlds that once seemed so far apart. Lila's heart soared. She gently stroked Star's velvety nose while whispering sweet words filled with encouragement and affection. "You're so brave," she cooed softly as joy bubbled within her chest. In that moment, trust blossomed fully between them, the kind of trust that could withstand storms and uncertainties alike. Star's initial caution faded away, like dew beneath morning sun rays. She leaned into Lila's touch, recognizing it as a sign of companionship, unlike anything she had ever experienced before. Lila couldn't contain the smile spreading across her face. She felt like they were crossing an invisible threshold together, a point where wildness met gentleness in perfect harmony. Here stood a wild filly who had once evaded capture, but now found comfort in understanding and affection, a truth that solidified their bond forevermore. As they shared this intimate exchange beneath the canopy of stars above them, it became clear that their relationship was no longer based solely on music or playful gestures. It had evolved into something far more profound, a promise of friendship rooted in mutual respect and care. With hearts entwined under starlit skies shimmering brightly overhead, Lila knew they were embarking on new adventures together, both learning from one another about freedom, love, and the beauty of trusting deeply amidst vast horizons filled with endless possibilities yet to be explored hand in hoof. And so began a new chapter for both Lila and Star, one where they would walk together along winding trails, discovering joys previously unseen, forging bonds stronger than mere words could express, while creating a lifetime full of memories forged under magical sunsets graced by laughter, resonating joyfully across meadows forevermore. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the meadow, Lila and Star stood side by side, hearts pounding with excitement for what was to come. The bond they had formed felt unbreakable, woven together through shared laughter, soothing melodies, and gentle touches. In that moment, they knew they were embarking on a beautiful journey, one filled with new experiences waiting to be discovered. Lila looked down at Star, her wild spirit radiant in the twilight. "Are you ready for this?" she asked softly, knowing that the answer lay not in words, but in the trust that shone brightly in Star's eyes. She reached out and gently stroked Star's velvety nose, feeling the warmth of their connection encapsulated in that single act. The filly leaned into Lila's touch, as if to say she was ready to embrace this new chapter together. With confidence shining through her heart, Lila made the first move toward a new life. "Let's go for a little adventure," she exclaimed, gesturing towards the winding paths leading away from their familiar meadow. Star whinnied softly, her spirit invigorated by the prospect of exploration. Together they ventured forth, stepping onto trails adorned with soft grasses and vibrant flowers that seemed to sway in approval at the bond being stitched between human and horse. As they wandered deeper into the lush landscape, Lila started playing her guitar again, letting sweet melodies guide them as they traversed through nature's beauty. The sounds wrapped around them like a warm blanket, creating an atmosphere where both felt completely at ease. Star seemed to dance along with the rhythm, her hooves lightly drumming against the earth as if keeping time with Lila's song. It was as if they were creating their own unique symphony, a celebration of their friendship blossoming into something extraordinary. In this newfound freedom, Star realized that she could truly enjoy being herself. She wasn't just a wild filly anymore, but a companion sharing joyous moments filled with love and understanding. The lingering hint of loneliness she once felt faded away amidst the bright laughter and tender connections they experienced together. With each passing day, the adventure became more thrilling, filled with exploration and wonder. They roamed far and wide, discovering hidden nooks filled with sparkling streams where butterflies flitted gracefully about. Each encounter brought forth laughter and joy, a chance for them to learn more about one another while expanding their world just beyond the edges of familiarity. Lila often encouraged Star to unleash her wild energy. They would race through open fields, running freely until breathless bursts of giggles echoed into the air. By sharing these exhilarating experiences, Lila reinforced Star's trust in her, proving that companionship didn't mean restraint, but rather embracing one's essence fully without fear. Their adventures painted vivid pictures across each other's hearts. Each day became a testament to how love could bridge any divide between wildness and gentle affection. As weeks grew into months, Star began to thrive in this new life alongside Lila. No longer did she only represent untamed independence. She had found stability and kindness within companionship, an equilibrium that embraced her spirit while encouraging her to continue exploring who she was without restraints. Under starlit skies, filled with shimmering constellations looming overhead and wildflowers blooming joyfully around them, like friends gathering in celebration. This beautiful wild filly felt secure enough to lay down roots alongside someone who truly understood her heart. One tranquil evening, as fireflies began to twinkle about like tiny lanterns lighting up their world, Lila sat beside Star beneath their old oak tree once more. With a deep sense of fulfillment resonating throughout them both, she hugged Star's neck gently and whispered, "Thank you for being my friend." Star turned her head to nuzzle against Lila lovingly, recognizing that this extraordinary bond had become a precious anchor in both their lives. Their new journey together had just begun. It was now a testament to trust, forged through perseverance and unconditional love. A celebration of enduring friendship that would flourish beautifully through every season ahead. Together, they formed something unexplainable, yet undeniably perfect. A connection bridged between two worlds, destined for adventure in harmony forevermore. That celebrated not only newfound companionship, but also the breathtaking beauty found within life's simplest moments, shared hand in hoof.